I'm Kevin Carnes. As your lead clerk and comptroller, I'm committed to ensuring you have helpful and easy to access service from the clerk's office. This how-to seminar is designed to assist you in navigating your court services and Lee County's official records. You can attend these sessions in person or view them online at leeclerk.org. I hope this convenient service enhances your customer experience with my office.
Hello, and welcome to your Lee County Clerk of Court and Comptroller's Office how-to webinar on submitting a request for court records. My name is Yesenia Williams. I am the Community Relations Manager with your Lee Clerk and Comptroller's Office, and I'm excited to go over this information with you today. So some general information as it relates to court records requests. We do have an easy-to-use online records request platform that allows for the request of court records and/or information that is not found on our online court records search platform. Once we receive a request for a court record, our court records team will research your request on your behalf. Some instances where you may need to submit a request for court records as opposed to going online and searching for the record yourself is if you're unable to locate a record upon performing that search on our online search platform. If you're trying to gain access to an older record, perhaps we do have records that perhaps may be off-site or on something called microfilm, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. If you're trying to obtain access to a confidential record, or if you're requesting what's called an exemplified copy. An exemplified copy is an extra certified copy that is signed not only by the clerk, the elected official, but also by the chief judge. So if you are interested in submitting a request for a court record, you're going to go ahead and visit our website at www.leeclerk.org, and you'll see that on the bottom right hand side of each one of these slides. Once you access our website on the main page towards the top, 3 icons in, you will see a link for records request. You're going to go ahead and click on that, and that'll take you to our public records request page. Here we're going to go ahead and focus on a few items relevant to this presentation. First is frequently asked questions. We do have a robust frequently asked questions page that you can absolutely visit. Then we have the submit a records request link, and this is where we're going to go in order to move forward with submitting a records request. We also have track my records request, and we'll talk a little bit more about that and a different way to access that as well. So we're going to go ahead and click on submit a records request, and that's going to take us to the page where we're going to go ahead and move forward with doing that. There's different service request types. For the purpose of this presentation, we're going to focus on court records and information. So again, you're selecting this because you're unable to locate the record you're looking for on our online search platform. So you need some extra assistance with obtaining that record. So on here, we can go ahead and click select, and it'll bring us to the login page. So here, if you've already created an account in the past, you can enter your email address and password in order to log in. If you have not, if you are a new user, then you would click on create an account right below that. I do want to mention there is the opportunity for you to submit a request anonymously. However, if you do decide to move forward with interacting anonymously, then you will not receive email updates about your request. So this is something to keep in mind when moving forward anonymously, because we have no way to come in contact with you or let you know what is going on with the request you've submitted. So we're going to go ahead, we're a new user, so we're going to click on create an account right under new user. And that's going to take us to the create an account page. Anything labeled with a red asterisk is required. So we're going to enter that required information, which is your email address, a password twice, and your first and last name. You can absolutely enter the other information that it is asking for, but it is not required. So once you've done that, you can click submit. And now you are ready to submit a request for a record. So once you're there, there is again anything labeled with a red asterisk is required. So you're going to, the first one is the customer type. So for the purpose of this presentation, we are the general public. So I went ahead and put general public in there. Court type, you're going to highlight which kind of court case type it is that you're trying to obtain a request for. So once you do the drop down, there's a myriad of different court types such as felony, juvenile, criminal. For the purpose of this example, we're going to use civil. The case number, as you'll see, it does not have that red asterisk, so it is not required, but we definitely encourage you to include as much information as possible to help the clerk that's assisting with your request and to make sure there's no delays in the fulfillment of your request. So I know the case number, so I'm going to go ahead and enter that, but if you don't know it, that's okay. The party name is a requirement, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and enter the name of the party that's associated with that case. The date of birth and license number, not required, but I want to give as much information as possible. So I'm going to put that in because I know it. Again, if you don't know it, that's okay. The record format, here's where you're going to choose how you want that record sent to you. So you are able to choose from a variety of ways, whether that be electronic, if you want to come in and pick up your record, if you want your record mailed to you, that's also an option. With the mailed option or the pickup option, there may be fees associated, but if there are, you will absolutely be notified by the clerk that is assisting with your request. And then finally, there's describe your request. So this is required. So on here is where you're going to spell out, again, as much information as possible, specifically what it is that you're requesting, what document or documents from that specific case, or perhaps from a specific person. It doesn't always necessarily need to be just one specific case. So in this particular example, I need the final judgment associated with the case number I entered before. So once you've entered all of the information that's required of you, you can click submit. Before I click submit, I do want to highlight that it does say there is an option to upload a file to support whatever it is that you're requesting. So if you perhaps are being asked by an employer to submit some sort of record, and you have a letter that states that, then you can upload the letter and that will give more information as it relates to what it is that you're requesting. So once we have all that entered, we will click submit, and that is it. That tells me that my request has been submitted and that it has been forwarded to the proper department for review. It also gives you a reference number, as you can see here. The reference number does start with a W, so if you're ever having to give that reference number out, it's the one that starts with a W. You will receive notification via email when your request has been completed, or if additional information or even payment is required. So this is a very interactive process. We will communicate with you if there are any questions, or if perhaps we need more information in order to fulfill your request, or even instances where we are unable to fulfill your request, whether that be because a document is confidential or held confidential under a rule or order or statute. But either way, we will communicate with you. So earlier I mentioned the tracking a request. So this is another way that you can see what the status of your request is. So once you're logged in, on the left-hand side, there is this public records menu, and right at the bottom is My Request Center. You can click on My Request Center and view all of the requests that you have submitted, and as well as the status of that request. So this is just an example of what that looks like. You're also able to click on details to see what the details of that particular request are. Again, we will communicate with you via email to whatever email address you provided when you created the account. So this brings us to turnaround times. The standard process for request fulfillment is within 2 to 3 business days from the day that we receive that court records requests. However, there are instances where this may take a little longer. We do handle each request individually, and each request is different. So some examples of instances where it may take longer is something called voluminous requests. So a voluminous request is considered anything that is 3 or more cases that you are requesting. So these types of requests may take more time, so it can take anywhere between 5 to 7 business days to fulfill. And then depending on the volume of the request, we also may require a deposit. So let's say you are requesting records for a certain individual, and upon research, that individual has 32 cases that you need documents from. So that's something that will definitely take our team a little longer to fulfill. And because of the level of research that goes into it, we may require a deposit in order to perform that research. That deposit that's paid will go towards the cost of whatever it is that you are requesting. Another example where it may take a little longer are older records. So these may be records that are not, while we do make we do have a pretty great digitized system here in Lee County, there are some records that may still be on something called microfilm. That is a small little tape that has records on it, if you will, on film. If you remember the cameras from back in the 90s and 80s that you would have to go develop film for, it's kind of something like that. But we do have to use a special machine in order to research microfilm. And these can be cases even from the early 2000s, the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, and back to when the county was first founded in 1887 even. So this is definitely something that may require a little more time, and we also may require a deposit to do this level of research depending on how many documents you're requesting or how many cases. Some additional important information that I want to highlight. When you are submitting a court records request, we do encourage you to provide as much information as possible. This will avoid any delays in fulfilling your request. We also encourage you to provide some level of contact information. So even if you are submitting an anonymous request, we encourage you to provide us with some level of contact information, whether that be a contact number or an email address. And this is so that we can communicate with you if we have any questions or need additional information to fulfill your request, just to make sure that it's fulfilled in a timely fashion. Then as it relates to expedited requests, we are unable to expedite records requests. We do handle requests as they are received. So if you do know that you need a certain record, we encourage you to submit that request online as soon as you know that it is needed. For example, one instance I'll use, if someone has an immigration appointment scheduled for 2 months down the line, you receive the letter today, we encourage you to put in that request for those records at the time you receive the letter, and say, instead of waiting the day before your appointment, for instance. If you do need the record sooner than what I referenced as the standard turnaround time a few slides ago, then we encourage you to please come see us in our office in order to have that record provided in a timely fashion. Some clerk contacts and resources for you. Definitely encourage you to visit our very comprehensive court records search records site, at leeclerk.org/search records. Our clerk courts department is also a valuable resource. You may contact us at 533-5000 to speak to one of our customer service representatives, or email us at courts@leeclerk.org. So that concludes our webinar on how you can submit a court records. If you have any questions, suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me at 533-2763 or email me at ywilliams@leeclerk.org. I encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter to be notified of the latest and greatest going on with your Lee Clerk's office, including events and webinars such as this, at leeclerk.org/subscribe. And definitely visit our social media channels to follow us and stay in the know. Thank you.